Today on Weekend Wankshop, I'm going to be showing you guys one of my favorite scale sequence ideas that's super flexible and a lot easier to do than it sounds. Check it out. Yo guys, and welcome to a brand new installment of Weekend Wankshop. Here with your best buddy, Uncle Ben. It's always a great idea to have a couple of different scale sequence ideas in your back pocket that you can whip out at a moment's notice anytime you need to unleash the fury in the middle of a solo. The sequence we're going to be taking a look at today is one of my favorite ones because it's not that hard to play. It doesn't involve non-stop alternate picking or anything like that. And it's easy to dump into any 3-note per string scale or walk it across 2 strings going up the neck. But before we get into it, let's hear it again at stepdad speed. And of course, there's a full tab for this lick over on my Instagram page, so be sure to give me a follow over at Ben Eller Guitars. Find the tab for this week's lick, learn how to play it, then upload a video of yourself shredding through it along with the hashtag Weekend Wankshop. So this lick that I made up is in the key of B minor, but you could easily dump this idea into any other 3-note per string scale for cool results in any key. So the basic idea of this sequence is really encapsulated in the first little phrase that we play through here. Now what I'm doing is I'm starting off on the 4th fret on the A string, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that note with a downstroke and hammer onto the 5th fret on the A. After this, what I'm going to do is to come up here to the low E string, also with a downstroke, on fret number 7. And then we're going to go back to the A string and I'm going to play 4, 5, 7 with an up, down, up stroke. So you have this. Now part of what makes this lick sound so cool at high speeds is the muting that's involved. This entire lick isn't palm muted, nor is the entire thing not palm muted. You'll notice that the very first note of each sequence I'm digging into really hard with the pick with no palm muting. And then for the rest of it, I'm plopping that hand down on the strings to get that chunky palm muted sound. This is a lot more interesting than a lick where everything sounds the same, or, just monotone throughout. Adding in those unmuted accents really makes licks like this pop in your solos. Considering that this entire lick is made up of that phrase moving through different parts of the scale, I really recommend that you take a little while and get comfortable playing that first sequence, just going like this over and over. Again, really snapping that downbeat and not palm muting it, but then putting your hand down to palm mute the rest of it. Now we got the first phrase down, let's move on to the next one. This is basically just going to be the exact same stuff, just on the next set of strings. We're going to be hitting the D string fret 4, hammering to 5, again no palm mute and with a downstroke. Then going up here to the 7 on the A with a downstroke, palm muted. And then on the D string here I'm going to play 4, 5, 7, up, down, up, all palm muted. So now you've had basically the same phrase on 2 different string sets. After this, what we're going to do is to go to the G string here on fret number 4. That's our root note of our scale, B. We're going to hit the 4 and hammer on to 6, play the D7, and then the G, we're going to play 4, 6, 7. So that third phrase is. Now the next thing that I'm going to do here is to move this up to the next position on that same string set. So in other words, we're staying on the G and D strings here, we're just moving up to the next position of the scale. And what I'm going to do is to start off here with the G on fret number 6, hammering to 7, D string fret 9, and then on the G I'm going to play 6, 7, 9. So again, you played 2 licks on the same string set there. After this, what I'm going to do is to go to the B string here on fret number 7, hammer to 8, go back to G9, and then on the B string here, what we're going to do is to play 7, 8, 10 before we end on the root note of the scale, which is B, the 7th fret high E string. And I want to really emphasize there that I landed on that B note on purpose. Whenever you're playing through these sequence licks, if you just land on some arbitrary note, or because you ran out of strings or whatever, it might not exactly sound great. It might sound like you're just practicing in the middle of a solo. But if you can kind of fly these scale sequence ideas towards a particularly strong note for whatever chord you're playing against at the time, that's when stuff starts to sound really melodic and musical. So by me landing on this B note against, say, a B minor chord, that's a great melodic stopping point to a lick like this. So now altogether the lick should sound like this, starting on the A string. Now, like I said, once you get that initial idea down, this becomes a really cool phrase to put into any other scale pattern that you know and mess around with the phrasing and stuff too. One thing I like to do a lot of times is to simply repeat it a few times before I move on to the next string set, and then maybe catch another spot through a scale where I'll repeat it a few times. I want to say there's a few examples of Eddie doing that on his I'm the One solo from Van Halen 1. This is also a really cool idea to take laterally across two strings, moving up the neck. One of my favorite things about this sequence too is the way that it starts with a single downstroke and a hammer-on. For me, that gives my pick time to get to that next lowest string, like that right there. Now you could, of course, pick the entire thing. You could do that entire lick alternate pick. And that'd be some good practice for you to get that pick going across the strings like that. But I think there's something to be said about that dynamic that happens when you have licks where some of the notes are picked, some of the notes are hammer-ons. I think it makes it a lot more tonally interesting than something that is just all straight legato or all straight picked. And like I said, the main point of this lesson isn't really the lick itself, it's the concept behind the lick. So be sure to post on Instagram with hashtag WeekendWankshop any other lick that you create utilizing this sequence. Thank you as always for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Ben Eller Guitars, on Facebook at facebook.com/UncleBenEller. And if you guys would like to book some one-on-one Skype lessons with me, be sure to drop me an email, benellerguitars@gmail.com. I'll get back to you as fast as I can. Thanks again, and remember what Carl Verheyen said, if you like it, learn it. Cheers.